Hello，在 YouTube 朋友你们好，今天呢，我们开始我们今天的直播，在我们现场呢，有 Dr. Gibbs 跟我们一起来聊天。好，那么现在马上开始我们今天的访谈。
Basically, when you have less fear, you become more successful without trying to be successful. So I think when people who want to be successful, they have to work on themselves first.
To explore yourself is to explore the kingdom. And the point is to see that as a okay. The roots of my philosophy are in China, in Chan Buddhism and in Taoism.
And if you can think differently from other people, you probably will be successful.
I thought I'm going to change that. Yes. And that's what you see on stage, the sparkle of joy. The detail is the most beautiful thing. I have a dream in my head, and I want to make this dream come true.
What equals skill plus opportunities?
I found this to be a welcoming area.
好了，现在看到有个小朋友上来了，我先感谢大家的转发。
去格莱美的就是
介绍一下 Dr. Gibbs。好，现在我们在这个镜头以后呢，马上开始我们的采访。
Everyone who has found inner happiness, joy, they always wanted to share.
This is so beautiful. We should do that more often.
Hello, Dr. Gibbs. How are you? Welcome
I'm
to
wonderful.
my show.
Thank you, JoJo. So good to be on your show.
Wow, so nice. Right now we saw a lot of people here. I want to introduce my friend right now. 那么今天我们的访谈呢，就叫如何阻止欺凌，就是你的孩子被欺负怎么办？那夫妻之间吵架怎么办？那么如果遇到在同事之间互相吵架怎么办？那么今天我们请来这位呢，就是我们在美国非常杰出的一个心理学家，那么他总共有3000多个学校呢，已经请他来演讲，而且他的视频呢有2亿多人在收看哈。那么现在这一位呢，就是 Dr. Brook. I'm so excited you are here today.
Thank you.
So welcome to my show. So a lot of people want to know that why you start being psychologist.
Well, I remember being a child struggling with mean people. They would tease me, I would cry, I would get in fights. And it was a very sad time in my childhood. And I wish I was bigger. I wish I was stronger. I wish I knew karate. I thought that would be amazing to be able to beat my enemies up. But I was a puny kid. I had asthma. I was allergic to all kinds of food. I was a total wimp. I would get asthma attacks playing Nintendo. That's how unhealthy I was. And I look back at that season of childhood, and I remember thinking if I could ever figure out the cure to my problem of sadness, boy, that would be the greatest thing. And I would spend the rest of my life teaching other people how to be confident, how not to be so emotionally wounded when people are mean. And I've dedicated my life to that. And I've gotten very, very good at it. And I'm thankful to say I've reached over 3 million teenagers, students, face-to-face as I tour, travel, and speak, and 300 million views on my videos all over the world, and even more with WeChat and TikTok. My videos continue to help kids all over the world, translated in 20 different languages, and I'm so thankful that I've dedicated my life to this work.
Wow. Because this world actually become more peace. So now let's look at some of your video. Okay.
This generation especially are like an emotional marshmallow. hypersensitive to the mean, negative words and actions of others because your entire life you have been taught a half-truth. The half-truth is really a lie if it's not wholly taught. And the half-truth that you've been taught since you were in kindergarten are this: words hurt, words wound, words kill. And if you go throughout life believing that, you are going to be emotionally fragile, volatile, overly sensitive. If you believe words hurt, when someone's mean to you with their words, you're like, you're hurting me. If you believe words wound, when someone's mean to you with their words, you might be scarred for life. And if you believe words kill, you may be like the growing sad number of students who contemplate hurting themselves or hurting others in retaliation. But throughout history, especially in this great country, the United States of America, throughout history, generations of moms and dads and educators and even grandparents have been trying to teach their students words don't have to hurt. Words only have the power that you give them. Man, if someone hates you, oh well, ain't no thing. It's all good. You see, when you believe that you have a human right, that everyone must be nice to you, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're creating in yourself a victimization mentality, because when people are mean to you, you say, you have no right. No, they do have a right. It may be immorally wrong, but it is their constitutional right. In fact, the right we have in this nation is the right to free speech. Even if it's mean, even if it's hateful. We live in a nation, its cornerstone foundational philosophy is that every single citizen has the right to stand up on their platform and speak their mind, even if it offends another group. And that's critically important, because if our government started to crack down on people's speech, they would take over and they wouldn't allow us to freely speak our mind. You see, we think the answer to end hate speech is to crack down on speech and demand less speech. But the reality is, it's no. Let more speech happen, and may that speech be empowered by the virtue of love so that it can drown out the vice of hate.
Wow, it's so popular. Okay, wow.
You got to make a decision. You got to make a decision. I'm going to not give people power to hurt my feelings. I'm not going to give people power to hurt my feelings. I'm going to expect people, they're probably going to be mean. And I'm going to let them be mean, because it's a free country and I can't stop them from being mean. But if they're mean, no matter how they treat me, I will always treat them the way I want to be treated. And I want to be treated like a friend. But if they're treating me like an enemy, I still want to be treated like a friend. So I'm going to treat them the way I want to be treated, the golden rule, which means I'm going to treat them like a friend, even if they're mean to me. And that's what the golden rule means. Treat everyone like friends, especially your enemy. Treat everyone like friends, especially your enemy. Why? Because when you treat your enemy like a friend, you don't have to be friends with them, but you can be friendly to them. And when you treat your enemy like a friend, they have a hard time staying your enemy. Dr. Martin Luther King put it this way: you cannot drive out hate with more hate. Only love can do that, because love is greater than hate. God bless you.
Wow,
I love you.
wow, this is really, really incredible. Thank you. I really like your speech. This is awesome. Indeed, love is more important. Love is bigger than hate. Thank you so much. So you've been doing this for 25 years. Can you tell us about your journey over this 25 years?
Well, when I started out, there was this thing called the anti-bullying movement in the United States and most of the Western world. Schools were very interested in helping kids, protecting kids from relentlessly being teased and taunted by other people. And the United States decided to take a legal approach to this problem. And the legal approach is, if someone is mean to you, you need to tell the teacher. The teacher will tell the vice principal, the headmaster, and they will have policies that make them punish you for the mean behavior. And I remember that started in 1999, and I knew back in 1999, I graduated high school that year, I knew that that was not the right approach. when you take a legal approach to a social problem that's non-criminal, they're hurting your feelings, they're not hurting your body or property, you're only going to escalate hostilities. You're not going to bring peace. You're going to bring more friction. Now the person that you get in trouble, that mean person that you make sure gets punished, oh man, they're going to feel victimized. And the victim mentality is actually the most dangerous mentality on earth. The worst acts of violence are committed by people who feel like victims. And so if you get the government or the authorities to punish your bully or your enemy, they will feel victimized by the system, victimized by you, and it will cause you to be a bigger target. I knew from the start that this is not the way wisdom teaches. This is not what wise people have ever taught. No religion on earth teaches this. They teach to forgive, to overlook an offense, to calm down, to not take it personal, to guard your heart. Above all else, guard your heart, because out of your heart flows the issues of life. And so I knew emotional resilience is the solution to not being offended, therefore not creating conflict. But the anti-bullying movement in America and now throughout the world has taught, no, you should get upset, you should punish your adversary, and no one has a right to be mean to you. And I said, boy, oh boy, I need to speak the opposite of what everyone else is teaching. And that's what I've been doing for this long. And I think that's what sets me apart, because I'm teaching what schools are not teaching. Schools teach, get upset. I teach, don't get upset. You don't have to.
Yeah, so that's why the first time when I look at your video, I just feel, wow, amazing. I got to talk to you in our show and show you to our Chinese audience. I totally believe in you that fight will not, like use power or use violence to stop peace will never get peace. So can only, like what you say, love can create peace. But however, when both sides feeling that they're right, they're both right, what are you going to do? How you talked about right now, the war going on, they both think they're right. So they never stop because they all believe they're right. How you are give them advice?
Well, there's a great old ancient scripture that says, where do wars and fights come from? Are they not your desire to have, but you cannot attain? You want, you lust, you kill for, but you cannot acquire. That's what war is. It is no different than the temper tantrum 2-year-old toddler child who demands that they want something. And when they don't get what they want, they get angry, they feel victimized, and they want to retaliate against you. We have a fairness complex that we create. No fair. You are not being fair. And we invent this fairness in our mind. So we don't get what we want. We don't know how to handle the feeling of not getting what we want. And the only natural reaction emotionally is to punish our enemy or to retaliate against them and demand to get what we want. And that's what wars are. Wars are people who are not getting what they want, or they're getting what they don't want. It's the two sides to the same coin. I'm not getting what I want, or I'm getting what I don't want. And so peace, therefore, is the process of understanding the victim mentality of the other person. Mm-hmm. What am I doing that you don't want? Or what am I doing that you wish I would do differently? I need to understand from your perspective how you view me as the aggressor. You view me as the bully. You view me as the enemy. And if I can do that, then I can hopefully accommodate. See, the law of love demands that we accommodate the other person if what we're doing triggers them or causes them offense. Now, there are some reasons, there are some irrational wants that our enemies have, and we don't always have to compromise. But diplomacy demands, if it's a rational, reasonable, attainable accommodation, let's try to do it. And while we're trying to accommodate them, let's have a diplomat talk to them to try to build up their emotional resilience so that they stop being offended by us all the time. And then, of course, we have to deal with our offenses, and we communicate to them, you know what? you're doing this and I don't want you to do that. So it really comes down, and it always will, for time and eternity, for times past and times future. It will always be people are not getting what they want, and they don't have the emotional intelligence to adjust well to the harsh reality that people do not accommodate their preferences.
So you just said that there's not many emotional classes in America, in the world. So if you right now want to start some classes, what do you think are top 3 most important things that you're going to teach the student?
The first thing is I would teach them how to stop getting offended. You see, people do not make us angry. We think they do. People do not anger us, but it feels like they do. People do not upset us, but we're convinced they do. Well, what's happening? If they're not upsetting us, why am I getting upset? And the easiest way to explain this to people of why they get upset is Dr. Albert Ellis and his ABC theory of emotions. A, there's aggression. Someone is mean to you. They say, I don't like you. And immediately after A, C is triggered. C stands for the emotional consequence. My feelings are hurt. And because it happens so fast, AC, we're convinced they hurt my feelings. But in between A and C, at least in the English alphabet, is the letter B. A, B, C. And B stands for your belief system. What do you believe about what they just said? What do you believe about what they just did? What do you think about it? Because based on your thinking, that will determine how you feel. We think emotions live on their own, but they don't. Emotions are products or creations of a belief system. What we believe creates how we feel. And if we change our belief system, our feelings change too. Our feelings have a boss, and it is our thoughts. And there are 2 types of belief systems. There are rigid, demanding thinkers, and there are flexible, indifferent thinkers. The rigid, demanding person says, you better not say that to me. You have to be kind. You better not be rude. Well, when their belief system is violated because the aggressor said something that they believe they must not have said, all they are experiencing is negative emotions. But that same mean person can say the same mean thing to another guy, and he doesn't care. Why? Because his belief system is flexible and indifferent. So the aggressor says, I don't like you. And the healthy person says, I don't care. You did not like me last week. You did not like me last year. As long as I've known you, you've had something against me. If it makes you happy being mean to me, hey, it makes me happy too. You can be mean if you want. I'm always going to be nice to you. And the emotional consequence to that resilient, flexibly indifferent person is happy and joyful and peaceful. The aggressor does not affect the emotional consequence of that resilient person because their belief system protects their emotions. So that's how we stop getting upset. That's the very first lesson I would teach anybody because it's the foundation for the second one. The second one is, how will you respond to that person? How will you respond? You have to ask why they're being so mean. And there's only 4 reasons why. They're either trying to bother you. They're a provocateur, like an annoying brother or sister that loves to drive you crazy. They're probably trying to joke with you. They're just laughing, but it's at your expense. And they're pointing out your flaw and exaggerating it for a punchline. Or maybe they're hurt by you. You said something or did something that they took offense to. And the 4th one is maybe they're criticizing you. They're pointing out a flaw to help you improve. Well, once we understand why they're being mean, we'll know how to respond. And that's the 3rd lesson. If they're bothering you, brush it off. No big deal. Don't be bothered. If they're joking with you, laugh it off. That's a good one. You should be a comedian. If they're hurt by you, apologize. Are you mad at me? I am sorry for that. And if they're criticizing you, appreciate the criticism. Hey, it might help you improve. So tell them thank you for the criticism. Those are the 3 lessons I would teach any person around the world. Stop getting upset. Figure out why the person's being mean. And based on why they're being mean, you'll know how to respond to them governed by the golden rule, treating them the way you want to be treated.
Yeah, you said that is treating them as a friend. Then can you tell me about what is called friend, what's called friendship? How can we treat a friend?
Well, I don't think we should be friends with everyone. In fact, we should only have a few friends, but we should be friendly to everyone. You have one of my favorite quotes. I say it every week wherever I go. I always share it with kids. You talk about flowers and you say, flowers are not social, JoJo says, but they're always smiling. And then JoJo says, your children may not be social, but you need to teach them how to be polite. Boom. That's wisdom, girl. That is so wise. You're welcome. We don't have to be friends with everyone, but we do need to be friendly to everyone. And so friendship is really a personality disposition. I'm a friendly person. And there's an old proverb that says, a person who has friends must show themselves friendly. And so a good friend, if I'm really going to open my heart up to attach to another human being, I'm going to communicate what's important to me. And what's important to me will be important to them. And then that will be reciprocated. They will share what's important to them. And what's important to them is important to me. And that's the foundation of bonding, of attachment, is whatever's important to you is important to me. Your interests are my interests, and they are equal to my interest, and vice versa. And the closer you can get to that bond, whether it's a marriage or a best friendship, boy, that is so healing for the soul. We need people who are interested in what we're interested, but I promise you, only a few people will be able to do that type of attachment. Not everyone. So just be friendly to everyone, but don't be friends with everyone.
Well, I think that we can be friend with everyone is by helping whatever you can with people. I remember I interviewed the author, Conversation with God, Neil Walsh. He said something. He said, if you cannot give to someone else, this person, you don't want it into their life. So you only get to people's life when you can give a gift. Otherwise, don't get to the people's life. So I remember what he said. So right now, I think it's very important is everywhere you go, whoever you be with, you can ask yourself, what kind of gift you can give this person? You not only find a friendship, but also find your own value. Right? So now let's talk about the value is, I noticed
May I comment on that?
Yeah.
See, I live in the world of aggression. I study aggression and fighting and arguing and divorces and wars and bullying. I study this for 2 decades more. You don't want to be friends with everyone as if opening your heart, because guarding your heart, protecting your heart is critical, right? So I agree that giving your gift is friendliness, and that is very good. There's an old proverb that says, your gift will make room for you and bring you before great men or kings or royalty. Your gifts do incredible things. So I do agree that you want to add value to people, and that's the fastest way to make friends, is give them something. The second fastest way to make friends is ask them questions about themselves. Friend. In English, that's how we spell friend. F, let me know about your family. Tell me about your family. R, what do you like to do to relax or, for recreation? Or I, what are you interested, or what industry are you in? What do you spend your time working, doing? E, what's your education? What's your favorite subject? N, do you have any needs that I could help you with? And D, what are your big dreams, your desires, your aspirations? I want to find out about you. So we can make friends, but there is an old proverb also that says, well, my dad says it, he's from Texas. If you lie down with dogs, you might rise up with fleas. And so you want to be careful who you hang out with. Or as grandma used to say, bad company or bad friendship might corrupt good morals. And so you have to be very careful who you decide to open your heart to, lest they negatively influence you and destroy the goodness that's within you.
I understand what you said, but I learned in life that if you can open your heart like a flower, no one can break your heart. You can just blossom. But if I also learned something in America, give a benefit of a doubt. So you always think about the person the good, think about other person is loving, just like what you taught us. I remember I look at one of your video. What girl need to learn is sometimes you think people think about you or talk about you, not necessary.
Right.
Right? We have to think about people too busy. See, it's all about our relations for ourselves. When you talk about friendship, is we need to have our own friendship with ourselves first. Once we have a good relation with ourselves, then we can have a good relation with people around us. Once with people around with us, then with the world. So I think if I taught the class, the first thing I want to learn, I will teach people is you need to have a good relation with yourself. Because everything around the world, even the world right now, is reflecting certain people's inner negative feelings. So that's why I think it's very important if you teach a student have a good relation with themselves first.
Yeah, JoJo, I love how you share your thoughts and maybe you come back with maybe another angle or dimension of the wisdom. What I have discovered is that actually, I forgot what you were just saying. You were before you were talking about good relationship with yourself. Oh, yes. See the good in people. That's ultimately what I heard you saying. Martin Luther King Jr., one of our great peace ambassadors, he would say, there's enough good in the worst of us and enough bad in the best of us. When we focus on the good, we will be less likely to hate our enemy. Correct. So all peace teachers, which you are one, so clearly this is your calling to promote peace. Is that, man, you have to see for the sake of their humanity that there is good in them. Do not label people. Do not overgeneralize them. Do not judge them based on a mistake or two. Know that there's enough good in the worst of us. When we focus on the good, we'll be less likely to hate our enemy. Now, let me finally say this. You were talking about loving yourselves and being friendship with yourselves. And I do think we need grace. Grace is the ability to just, to don't be so critical on yourself. You see, I told you earlier today that the two things that I see, especially Asian Americans, I work with a lot of people from all different backgrounds. The two areas that Asian American, especially females, struggle with more than I've ever seen in any other population, and they may be second generation, is their perfectionism. I must perform perfectly well, and their approval addiction, so I can receive approval from my parents or other important people. And they put so much pressure on themselves, and I feel so bad for them. No, but have some grace with yourself. You're not perfect. Everyone is flawed. Do the best that you can. Don't try to be the best in the world, and be average in a lot of areas. Succeed and be extraordinary in one or two areas, but calm down. Stop being so, have a good relationship with yourself. Treat yourself how you would want to treat someone that you're caring for, someone that you're counseling. Use that same counsel on yourself.
Yeah, that's just like love yourself. That's very important. I think this is why in school it's very important to teach people need to love themselves. But love themselves is also meaning love the one that I'm not perfect, right? So love the one, love the one that...
Let me put it this way. Love who you are, not who you wish you were. Love the life you have, not the one you wish you had. Love the job you have, not the one you wish you had. We need love now, the way things are. In reality, we need to see the good in the bad, the upside to even the letdowns. And when we are present, when we appreciate what we have, I tell my kids this all the time. If you want what you have, you will have what you want. And when you have what you want, you're happy. When you don't have what you want, you're sad. So if you want what you actually have, you will have what you want, and your happiness will go through the roof.
True. I learned in another life that if I want something, I feel that's actually sometimes the pain from, the sadness from. But I learned that if I being something instead of want something, then we'll become peace. So we are be the peacemaker, but if we yell at each other, then we are not peace. Even though we're talking about peace in the world, but if you are not peace for yourself, then you cannot bring the peace to the world. So being is more important than wanting, right? So if, for example, I want to be a doctor, maybe like I want to be a psychologist, for example, then instead of wanting, the wanting is lacking. The lacking actually create conflict, create fighting together because you're not satisfied. So instead, so instead we study book, we watch you and practice every day the moment, right? Instead of wanting, just being is more important than wanting. That's what I say.
Right. And we can learn a lot from Buddhism on this very topic. But the American way is also something we can learn, that life without desire is not worth living. Some people say that desire is good. Desire is from above. Desire means we are going to become better than we are. We're going to advance forward. And so there's this beautiful tension of, I like who I am, but I'm not fully who I could be. I'm not the husband I could be, the father I could be, the businessman I could be, the communicator, the psychologist. So I want to get better, and that's the thrill of desire. And so I really have to, I guess, be shrewd or frugal or choosy with what desires I hold on to, and try to get rid of the desires that bring me misery.
Yeah, so everything have two-sided. I believe those desire, like desire for peace, desire for a better father, like me be a better TV host, all the desire are beautiful part, like a flower, but also have some negative part. So we have to aware everything we do have both sides, how to balance, just like the world, how we balance each other. So that is how we create a better communication, right? For people, with people.
Yes,
Like
yes, totally.
people-
Here's a good example.
Okay.
So there's two types of peace. There's negative peace and there's positive peace.
Oh,
Negative peace is the absence of conflict. Okay, we don't have a conflict anymore. We're done. Positive peace is working together towards a goal. We're actually collaborating. And so this is great because you could have peace and still have desire for peace to even be better than what it is. Peace being, okay, there's peace in the house. No one's arguing. No one's fighting. Yeah, but I'm not quite satisfied with that. I don't want the negative peace. I have a desire for the positive peace where we're actually working together. We have a shared vision that we're all aiming for. So even within peace, there's tension.
Yeah, I agree with you. Just like a yin and yang, right? The universe,
Yes,
like
that's
a
right.
whole, but there's a yin and yang inside. So I agree with you that when there's a peace, still a little bit, maybe conflict. So as a human, we have accepted it. It's okay. Because without those little conflict, we don't understand peace. So in order for peace exist, sometimes we need a little bit differences. So that's why we can keep improving ourselves to create a better life, better society. So now let's go to the next topic that I want to talk about is we found out in this society, especially growing children start growing up, they have a low worth, low self-esteem. So whatever you said, they're angry. Or they will feel, oh, you make me feel upset. Oh, I'm the victim. Oh, you make me feel low self-esteem. So how you deal with those conflict?
Well, when it comes to a self-identity, low self-worth, which means I'm not very valuable, low self-esteem, I don't really admire myself, low self-complex, the only way that I know to increase that is to do difficult things so that you can admire that you overcame hardship. You see, I could tell a kid, they're wonderful, I love you, you're so beautiful, you're perfect in every way, you're an incredible kid, you're so awesome. That will do some good. We should affirm and speak up to children and believe in them when they don't believe in themselves. That's just such a beautiful thing. That's how we would want to be treated. But nothing compares to them facing their fears, doing something very difficult on their own. Not that someone does it for them. So you tell a 5-year-old, tie your shoe. Oh, and he's going to work on it so hard. He's going to put the loop around, and he's going to tie it real tight. And when he does it and he learns, he's like, I did it. And he has self-esteem. I admire myself. He has self-worth. I have value now. I contribute. I take care of myself. I'm not dependent on somebody else. This is incredible. But then you have a 15-year-old and you say, tie your shoe, big guy. He's going to say, what are you talking about? That's cinchy. That's easy. That's like no problem. You tell that 15-year-old, hey, start working. You need to earn some money. You need to save up for a vehicle. You need to do hard things. You put the load on the person. There's another proverb that says, it is good for a man to bear his yoke or his weight in his youth. Why is it good? Because it helps him see what he's made of. And that's why when it comes to curing people of phobias, curing people from anxiety, curing people from chronic depression, there is no substitute for making them face their fear, doing difficult things. It's called exposure response prevention therapy. We have to expose you to the thing you're terrified of in incremental stages so that you can learn it's not going to destroy your life. And once you take someone with a phobia to face their fears and do hard things, by the end of it, they emerge and they say, I'm so impressed. I have such self-esteem. I'm so proud of myself. I do have value. That's the way you do it. Affirmation's good, but it's not enough.
But how do we deal with people that they're always angry? They're just simply angry person, no matter what you said. Especially at work, they're very bully and they really affected the team spirit. How do you do with those people at work?
The only reason why people are angry is because they have rigid demands that they must have something and they're not getting it. In the United States, we have videos we like to watch called Karen videos. And these are those ladies that freak out when their order at the restaurant was not just right, or maybe someone was rude to them on the road and they take their shoe and they start smashing the window. Oh, it's a Karen video, we say in the United States. Well, if you observe closely, anyone who's angry, anyone who wants to fight, you will always see rigidity, demands. So the way we cure people of their anger problems is we teach them to give up the grip of their demands and become accepting. So you didn't get the order right. It's okay. You could ask kindly. If they won't make it right, you can move on with your day. But if you are rigid and demanding that they must make it right, they have no right to get my order wrong. They are wrong and I'm going to punish them for it. That's a rigid, demanding person. It is stiffness. It is rigidity. And rigid people repel others. Flexible people attract others. And so that's it. To me, there is no self-esteem. In fact, often angry people have high self-esteem. They're quite arrogant and prideful, and they think they are God's gift to humanity. And they are doing everyone a favor to let everybody know what the standards of right and wrong are, what fairness is. That is sort of a grandiose, narcissistic, antisocial personality disorder many times. And so we don't want rigidity. We want flexibility and grace and kindness, and things are going to go wrong, and that's okay.
So if you're an employee, you tell them what to change, but then when you tell them what to change, they take it as a criticism. How you do it? Are you just let them stop?
There's two things that you said there. First of all, if they have a hard time with criticism, they believe no one should criticize me. No one should point out my flaws. You know, that's where insecurities come from. I don't want you to know that I'm an imperfect person, and I don't want you to point it out to others that I'm an imperfect person. So I cannot take criticism. If you cannot take criticism, you're not teachable. If you're not teachable, you do not have the ability to learn. If you do not have the ability to learn, you will not advance and grow. And if you do not advance and grow, you will never be in a position of instructing other people how to do what you do so well, because you have a lid that you cannot get past. And so criticism is a very important thing to learn to take. because if someone takes the time to criticize you, it means that they see potential in you that you have not yet actualized. And that is a very friendly thing to do. There's an old proverb that says, faithful are the wounds of a friend rather than the kisses of an enemy. Those are deceitful. You see, if your enemy wants you to fail, he won't criticize you. He will watch you ruin your life. But if a friend sees you fail, they will criticize you. So criticism, you have to view it and translate it in your mind as the words of your best friend. Even if it's not kind and the criticism sounds spiteful or rude, you can receive it with a thank you and appreciation. Now, let me say the other thing. You said two things. What if there's not a criticism? And what if you're, explaining to someone at work that, they're not behaving well. They're not performing very well. And the same laws that govern the aggression at school are the same laws that govern the aggression at the workplace. We can tell people what they can improve by asking them questions. Hey, do you want people to admire you and like you? I know that's how I want to be respected in the workplace. Don't you want that? Don't you want to have the skills to be a good people person and stuff like that? Don't you want your performance to go up because you're better with people? I want to help you do that. And I think you're going to struggle if you continue to behave this way. But I think you're going to succeed if you make a very slight adjustment. And the adjustment is very simple. Instead of being very rigid and demanding, I want you to give up the grip and just be a little more flexible. And because I'm seeing that you're rubbing wrong the people around you, and they're starting to judge you, and I want to help you succeed. So, we build them up. We ask them, are you interested in succeeding or having something that you want? Let me help you get there. It's going to take a little criticism, just like a good coach or teacher would say, I know you want to learn this skill. Here's what you're doing wrong in your golf swing. Here's what you're doing wrong in your math problem. I'm not criticizing you because I don't think you're good enough. I want to help you get the goal.
Very, very good. Would you like to play a game, Dr. Gibbs?
Absolutely. Are you willing to play a game?
Yeah, let's play a game. It's okay. So
yeah.
We'll play a game that how you answer, right? I don't say.
Yeah.
I
lead people through these games all the time, but do you want to lead me through the game?
Let's practice it. I think you need to change the work. Your work, maybe if you change the sound, maybe it will be a little bit better. What do you think? I think.
Oh, so you're criticizing me now?
Oh,
here's how it works. I want you to criticize me at work. Say I'm not performing well, and I'm going to respond to you the way someone shouldn't respond. And then we'll play it again. You criticize me, and I'll show you a way that I could respond, and we'll see how that goes.
So you want me to play the criticism, right?
Go ahead and criticize me about my performance.
Okay. Your work, this is, oh my God, I can't believe after all this years, still cannot write a simple sentence.
Are you saying I'm stupid, JoJo?
No, I don't think you're stupid, but you should know.
I do know. I do better work than most people in this. You should be grateful for me in this company. How dare you criticize me? I'm going to report you to HR. That's human resources. I'm going to make sure that your supervisor and his boss get fired. All right, that's good. Fantastic. That's not going to go anywhere good, is it?
Okay, so now how about I want to do a way that you like people, because right now our earlier question is when we do criticize, you feel victim. You feel like I want to teach you. It's possible that you can teach the way that you acting like a doctor, like you right now. For example, I criticize you, how you respond to a right way.
Go ahead and criticize me again. We'll play again.
You have been doing this for 10 years. You still cannot write a single sentence. I can't believe that.
Oh, you don't think I can write a single sentence?
But you should write better.
Thank you so much for telling me. What advice do you have for me? What am I doing wrong?
Can you please change this dear Dr. Book instead Dr. Book like that? Something more polite.
Well, I think you probably have a good point. I'll really think about that. Is there anything else?
I think that this video is not good. The picture is terrible. Can you please change it? I'm not mean to hurt you, but this looks ugly.
I'm not hurt. In fact, you're probably right. You have a better sense of what looks good. You're so gifted at elegance and beauty. And look, it's like I could pay for consultation and you're giving it to me for free. So I thank you so much for giving me this advice. I'll do the best that I can. And if there's any other way I can improve, always feel free to let me know.
Wow, that's very good. That's really good. See, that's strong, right? Like someone, if it tells you to change, you are be able to talk like that, is meaning your inside is very like a resilient, very strong.
But this is why I say the first lesson is always teaching people how to stop getting upset.
Okay.
Because you cannot teach them how to be kind if they're upset. There's an old poem in ancient scripture. It says, love is, and it says two things. Love is patient, love is kind. And then it says what it's not. But it only says it is two things. Patience is the ability to be long-suffering, the ability to be resilient. And then it's kind. I cannot be kind first, because if I'm upset and trying to be kind, I'm going to look like a bad actor. I'm going to be like, my face will communicate a different thing than my words, something like this. No, it's totally cool. Thanks for criticizing me. I mean, no, you're right. Okay. I mean, it's fine. Thank you so much for criticizing me. Thanks a lot. You know, it's like, I'm offended. I have to get rid of my offense first so that I can be free to be kind.
You're right. Some people will say that I be angry because I'm real, but they don't understand that when they say angry, they're hurting others, right? So how you are change the perspective and change the belief of them because they think differently, totally differently.
Yeah, anger has become a form of entertainment, unfortunately, especially on social media. The more venomous and vulgar, the more viral. I mean, that's the idea. You get rewarded on social media for being woke or awakened and this is, I often tell people, look, I've never met a happy activist. I just haven't. I've met happy advocates. There's just a different posture. Oftentimes, the activists believe that their anger is righteous, and it might be righteous. But the wrath of man does not produce the righteousness of God. That's an old proverb as well. It doesn't accomplish what you're hoping to accomplish. It actually repels people from you. In English, we spell anger this way, A-N-G-E-R, anger. We also spell another word similar, danger, D-A-N-G-E-R, danger. Anger is one D away from danger. And we are not strong when we're angry. We're very weak. And it causes us not to be in our right mind. And when we're facing with a very difficult situation where we might have been violated somehow, anger is the enemy. Anger causes us to retaliate. No. We need to think level-headed, and we need to have an appropriate response. That's why we should not value or hold on to anger. We should try to rid ourselves of the poison of anger and only allow it to come out when it is called for. Someone attacking your body, your property, or taking away your liberties, or destroying your livelihood. That's when we could be angry, and we need to keep that anger in its proper place, usually the court of law.
So I want to ask you, Dr. Brooks, you have been teaching anger, you have been teaching how to stop bully, and do you still have anger yourself sometimes?
It is very difficult, extremely difficult to upset me. Very, very, very difficult. I honestly, as God is my witness, I do not remember the last time I was angry. It has been so long. You know, recently I was driving in the car. My wife was in the passenger seat. My children were in the back seat. The lanes were merging. And so I had to get in front of a guy to merge, and we were at a stoplight. Well, he did not know perhaps that the lanes were merging, and he did not like me cutting him off. He had a rigid demand. That guy has no right to cut me off. He has no right to get in front of my car. This is my lane. He was a very rigid type person. So he pulled over to the side of my car. He rolled down his window, not the electric kind, but the really old kind. And I rolled down my wife's window. Why? Because I love aggression. It's like a petri dish for me. I study this stuff. I want to get as close to it as possible because I absolutely love it, like a scientist. Well, anyways, my wife said, why are you rolling down the window? I said, I want to hear what the guy has to say. And he's yelling at me, and he calls my wife an effing B, which is a really bad word. I just gave you the letters. I didn't say the whole bad word, but it's probably the most derogatory term that you could possibly tell a woman. And you know what I did? Absolutely true. I gave him 3 fingers, not 1 finger, 3 fingers. In sign language, it says, I love you. And then I said, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And he sped off and drove away. And my children said, Dad, you're going to let him get away with calling Mom that horrible word? I said, boys, the only time that I would fight is if someone's trying to hurt your mother's body or our property. But if they're just words, I don't let words have any power. That guy is offended by me. I hurt him or offended him somehow. My only appropriate response is I'm sorry. And I gave him the international symbol, essentially either a peace or I love you. I just do I love you because I'm sort of extreme like that. And people don't know what to do. I will say that I will say this though. We put up our Christmas tree 2 nights ago. Mm-hmm. And I have a very cheap base for the Christmas tree. And I was asking one of my boys to come help me because it was falling. And I said, hurry up. And it was falling and falling. I said, hurry up. I was at the base on my stomach trying to fix it. And the tree was falling. And finally, I just yelled his name. Mm-hmm. I said, Jackson, very angrily. Mm-hmm. And he came and I said, I am so sorry. I guess I was worried that the thing would fall and I felt like you weren't answering me right away. I was very irritable. My wife says, sometimes you get irritable when you do tasks. And I said, okay, well, irritability is not necessarily anger, but it's what comes right before anger. And if I can deal it on the irritability level, then I won't be angry. I need to be, when I'm with my family, present and pleasant. And that's an area that I have to work on just a little bit.
So observe ourselves first, what level you are in. And I really like the way you're cheating with this this angry driver. I think this is very, very good educated. It's just very, I also bump into people, a friend like that, they kind of yell at each other. So at that moment, I try to tell my friend is, this person, what if this person is me, become a terrible driver? What if this person, your loved one? So can you forgive them? Because I was driving like that too. I'm a terrible driver. I don't mean to cut you off. Just imagine that person's you, the one that when you are start just driving, forgive yourself when you don't do well. So that's how I try to talk to
Yeah, and if I can define forgiveness, I think that will help the audience. Forgiveness, in my definition, is releasing the person that did you wrong from the responsibility to fix it. Releasing the person that did you wrong from the responsibility to fix it. What's done is done. I release you from your responsibilities and I release you from my anger, because anger damages me. Nelson Mandela from South Africa says, bitterness is like drinking poison, hoping your enemy dies, but you're the one that suffers. Why do I want poison on the inside? Anger is my enemy. And so I forget, forgiveness is the holy grail of peace work. And a lot of people have a hard time. And so I appreciate you mentioning that.
Very difficult. I think this world, if they can forgiveness, there would be more love.
That's a proverb, JoJo. It says, he who has been forgiven much loves much. That's literally what the proverb says. He who has been forgiven much loves much. It is called a parametric. the more you've been forgiven, the more you naturally love. How could I be mad at you when I've done such bad things and people forgiven me? For me not to forgive you for not doing as bad as I've done bad, that's hypocritical. No, he who's been forgiven much loves much. And that's why we need to forgive our children. We need to forgive our spouse. We need to forgive our coworkers, release them from the responsibility to fix it, focus on the good in them, treat them the way we would want to be treated. And as we forgive others, they will now have the capacity to show love towards us.
So I learned in each time when we face issues or even anger with other people is another way to teach us, like for example, why is person angry? So maybe it's anger myself inside that reflecting outside. So I will work on myself so I will not be angry. So that's how I learned. So now I learned that you have been writing 2 books. How many books you've been writing? How many
I've got, I think, 3 or 4 books. The ones available, like right now, I think are SQUABBLES Elements. That's the one I would recommend. SQUABBLES Elements. You can get it on Amazon. And I have another one called Feeling Strong. I've got another one called Love is Greater Than Hate. I mainly produce videos and video courses. I have another one called Raise Them Strong. It's a parenting book, raisethemstrong.com. But yeah, I'm always producing some creative way.
Yeah, so I really want to talk to you another time about your book. I think the audience here, they love your book. They're really happy. Wow, they have been talking so much. A lot of people give you love. We have, wow, how many people? 30,000 likes from your talk today. And we have 2,500 people on room. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone to watching us. And then also want to thank you people from YouTube and thank you people from my show. 那请大家看看现在有什么问题，如果大家有什么问题的话呢，可以现在问我们问题，然后我们在现场呢，请到Dr. Brook 来跟我们一起回答大家问题，好不好？那大家呢可以在这里呢一起写东西给我。Yes, they learn a lot from you. That's wonderful. I also learn a lot. Very, very good. And also, people, you want to go to his website and want to know about your book, 就是你要知道他们的书的话，可以去他的网站 ，OK？ bookgibbs.com。然后呢，我很喜欢这句话 ：Only love can do that because love is greater than hate. I love your quote. I love this sentence. I want to share this with my audience. 然后这一个呢，就是他的网站，大家呢可以去他的网站里面买他的书啊，或者他的讲课啊，这样子，所以大家呢就可以来。对，非常感谢大家的分享Jasmine, thank you so much. I really enjoy. Really enjoy. Okay, so 看看大家还有什么问题问我们的老师吗 ？Okay, so you also there's one question for you that. You have found SQUABBLES, a training school. Would you please tell us about your school a little bit? What's the school?
Yes, I founded what's called the SQUABBLES Institute for Conflict Resolution, and it is really a training center for schools. So we travel and we send out trainers because I wrote SQUABBLES Elements, inspired by the periodic table of elements. If you look at the periodic table, you realize all matter in the universe has its origins in the periodic elements. And I said, well, when it comes to aggression or conflict, are there elements that are at work? And so inspired by the periodic table, I created SQUABBLES Elements. And that was through the SQUABBLES Institute. So we travel all over North America. My videos are shown. It's a library of videos in countries all around the world. They're translated into multiple languages. So squabbles.com is the institute. It's not a school like where students come and they learn like a university. It's more of a training institution. And so we're training the SQUABBLE elements that I authored, and we're sharing that with the world.
Very good. We have an audience. Yu asked you a question. How to grow love?
Well, that's a wonderful question. And I just want to say how much I appreciate this person who's saying, I want to grow in love. If you start walking in love, you will grow in love. There is no other answer. Love is a verb. It is an action. It is not a quiver in the liver. It is not an ocean of emotion. It is not a feeling. It is something we do. So you have to walk in love. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to be kind. I'm going to be resilient. I'm going to live by the golden rule. I'm going to be mentally tough, and I'm going to forgive my enemies. As you practice and walk in love, you will grow in love. There's zero other ways to grow in love. You have to do it and start getting really good at it, and you won't believe what a loving person you will become. You will be the person, the grandmother, the grandfather that you love so much, that is full of grace and full of kindness.
Wonderful. So we have another audience. I want to ask you a question is, during all the 25 years, what is the most question that people asking you? And also second question is, what is your challenges all these 25 years?
The biggest question that I get is also the biggest challenge I face. And the question is, Brooks, are you victim blaming? Are you telling victims that their emotional pain is their fault? Isn't that victim shaming? How could you put any more responsibility on someone whose heart is broken, telling them that they need to change, not their enemy? That just seems very mean. Oh, I understand that question, because it sounds like that's what I'm doing. But I don't blame victims. Victims do not suffer on purpose. We blame people for doing things on purpose. Since a victim's not doing it on purpose, I cannot blame them for their problem. However, their emotions are their responsibility. There's a big difference between blame and responsibility. If it snows on my roof, which it won't because I'm in Florida, but let's say it snows on my roof, and I think my roof is going to cave in because of all of the snow. I could blame God, I could blame the government, I could blame my neighbor, but it's my responsibility to get up there and shovel the snow off. I am responsible for my house, and you are responsible for your emotions. And the only person that can protect your heart is you. You have exposed your heart and taken mean words to heart. That's why you have a broken heart. You need now to protect your heart. How do you do that? Through the mind. If someone wants to break your heart, they have to go through your brain first, your belief system. So take your thoughts and control them so that your emotions are protected. That is your responsibility and no one else's. And finally, if that's the question I get, the biggest problem I face in the work that I do is that we live in a victim culture, a victim society where people want to identify as a victim. And the more victim cards they have, the more moral authority they feel they have in this culture. They want to be a minority. They want to have a disability. They want to have a sexual different orientation. And they also want to be, a part of an oppressed people group. And the more victimization cards they have, the more value they have. No. You should not view yourself as a victim. View yourself as an overcomer. Look what you have to overcome with all those challenges. You should be the envy and the hero in all of our eyes instead of being the angry activist victim. So I'm fighting a victim spirit because people love to be victims and they have a hard time viewing themselves as an overcomer because it's harder to take responsibility to overcome, and it's easy to view yourself as a victim, blaming everybody to fix your problems.
Wow, you speak so well. It is true. It's so easy to bring people and so easy to become a victim and forget about themselves. They have the power to change. They have the power to in charge them. They have the power to take the responsibility themselves. So thank you so much. Today's wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. I'm fighting the victim spirit. we have an audience like this. So 今天非常开心. So it's 1 hour. Time passed so fast. I really appreciate.
But can I say something to your audience? Is that possible?
Yes, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, JoJo is very special. I have a very powerful skill that I've developed over years to discern or to tell when there's something very special, very magical, very powerful in a person. And the moment I heard about JoJo and the moment she invited me on her show, I started to research her. She has the it factor. I'm not saying this to flatter her. I'm saying support her get behind her, share about this show, be an advocate, and be like, I guess, an evangelist for JoJo's content, because her spirit, her peace-loving, embodiment of beauty and kindness and improving yourself is what this world needs. But she can't get there on her own. So please be the army that believes in her. I'm telling you, we need to help her get more awareness in America. And JoJo, I'm so proud of you and I so admire you. I had to say that to your audience.
Wow, thank you so much. I really thinking that you, because your speech, because teaching, really make this world more peaceful. Thank you so much. You're really a gift from God. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, my audience. So before we close this show, I want to share with you my quote. This quote that I wrote before called Strength. Roses turn the pain into graceful bloom. So never let anybody hurt you. Always turn whatever as like a rain in your life and as a nurture ground for yourself and bloom to a beautiful flower. So thank you. Thank you, Dr. Brooks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. 谢谢大家，非常感谢。Thank you. Turn this off. Thank you, YouTube channel. Wow, thank you.